Hi everyone, welcome to Hunter Gatherer Cooking. I'm introducing a new playlist and this is Nempnett Pastures. I'm going to spend as much time as possible here learning about farm life and what happens with the animals and the people on this farm. Now, to give you a bit of background, the farm overlooks the stunning Blagdon Lake, and if you've got a really keen eye you'll notice that it's just up the road from Sutton Ridge. So George runs Nempnett Pastures and Luke runs Sutton Ridge, and they're cousins. Now what I'm trying to show you is how much hard work actually goes into running a farm, and along the way I'm going to try and show you the people and the animals that George looks after, as well as a little bit of farm life. The plan is to do something similar where we're going to track life and track activities that go on the farm here, and we're going to kickstart the series with turkeys.
Hello, so I'm George Ford, I'm the farmer here at Nempnett Pastures, and these are our turkeys ready for Christmas 2022. It's the 5th of July and they're nearly 2 weeks old. This is what we call a brooder. So it's a fully insulated room and it's got 2 gas heaters in which we can monitor the temperature. When they're first hatched they want to be kept at about 37 degrees, a constant 37 degrees, to mimic how warm it would be if they were under their mum. And then we just drop it a degree a day as they get older and start to grow the feathers on their wings and backs. When they first arrive, we have these hardboard rings set up. So we had 2 rings in here with half the number of birds in each ring, just so that they didn't have to look very far to get the food and water. Because the most important thing is that they have food and water when they first arrive. When a chick hatches, the hen would naturally have so many eggs that she'd be nesting on top of, and when the first one hatches, there could be 3 days between the first one and the last one hatching. She won't get off of her eggs until they've all hatched. So they get enough energy out of the yolk to last them for 3 days without food or water. So that's kind of similar to here. So we need to really make sure that in the first 3 days, they all find the water and they all find the food. Because if they don't, then you've got problems. So when they first arrive, tiny little chicks in boxes, we literally get them out and we dip their beaks in the water so that they know where the water is, and then we put them on the food. And we have these discs dotted around with lots of food on, and then we keep the temperature, we monitor the temperature, make sure it's nice and warm, and make sure they have clean shavings every day, and we clean the waters out 3 times a day and give them fresh food. And then they gradually feather up. They get these feathers on the wings and across the back. And by the time they get to 8 weeks old, that's when they're fully feathered and ready to go out into the fields. Yeah, you might notice that there's different sizes, and that's because at Christmas some people want a 3-kilo turkey and some people want a 10-kilo turkey. Well, we get them all on the same day and they all get processed on the same day. So there's about 5 different strains of 5 different breeds here. They'd all have the same breed of mum line, but there's like 5 different tom lines, which is the male, and so they cross them over, and then that gives you the different speeds of like fast growing or slow growing birds. So most of them will be about 5 or 6 kilos finished, but you do get some which will be smaller and some which will be bigger. So they'll go till they're about 24 weeks, so it's a good long life for them. We don't want them to grow too quick, and we want them to make sure they get fully mature so they really develop that turkey flavour and lay down a nice bit of intramuscular fat so they're nice and juicy. So by getting them mature and that good old age, then you're making sure you get a good meal on Christmas Day. So they're real inquisitive and they're quite tame birds. We've got chickens on the farm as well, and usually if they see you, they just want to run away from you. Whereas a turkey will actively come to you to see what's going on, have a peck, have a sniff. When we're bigger and they're out in the field and we're moving them, it's easier to walk in front and let them follow you than it is to try and push them.
There we are. George, that device on the front is one of the best things I've ever seen.
One of the best things I've ever done. Hello boys and girls. 6 years old he is.
Do I want to move them?
Do you want to move them? Yeah. And no, basically you hold the fence post up in the air and they run either side of you.
Really?
Yeah. Just go out like that.
Yeah,
go,
right.
Come on, Ed, and they'll just run either side of you. This is our little herd of suckler cows, and they're currently bulling. So we've got our stock bull in here, mating them. We move these usually every day, sometimes twice a day. We're grazing a little bit differently to how we've used to done it. As you can see here, the grass is quite tall, and there's a lot of grass gone to seed, letting it kind of express its natural behaviour, I guess. The reason we're doing this is that we're trying to get maximum roots into the soil and improve the amount of air in the soil and feed the microbiology. We're trying to find a way of farming without any sort of inputs. And what we used to do is the grass would be sort of down here, and we'd send the cows in and we'd take them off when they were down to here, and it would, if you had any sort of wet weather, they'd trample a bit and make a mess, or it would dry out because there'd be exposed soil. Whereas what they're doing here is we're putting them in a real small area, and they're trampling a lot of it. Now a lot of people would say, you're wasting all your grass because you're just flattening it on the floor. Well, yeah, technically we would be wasting it, but we're feeding the microbiology in the soil with that grass. It's covering the soil with a fine litter, which prevents it from drying out, keeps the moisture there, and it's actually building soil itself because it starts to break down, and the worms and everything pull it in. So it's called holistic management. I did a course a couple of years ago. So we're just looking at things a little bit differently. So you need, it's called a high stock density for it to work. If we just put this little herd in this whole field, they would just wander around, they'd pick out all their favourite bits, they'd leave a lot of the other bits, and you just kind of, some bits would be grazed quite tight, other bits would be trampled, and it wouldn't really be that great. So by putting them in a small area, they really eat it down and trample it. We're trying to eat a third, trample a third, and leave a third. That's what we're trying to do here at this time of the year. And we use electric fences to keep them contained into the area we want. So Alex is going to move them. Hopefully he's not scared of cows.
No.
So you just got to go, and they're pretty well trained. Just got to go and grab the stake, walk that way a few feet. Don't touch the electric, walk away from us a little bit.
Yeah.
And literally hold it up as high as you can and go shout, "Come on then."
Go on then. Come on then.
And hopefully they'll come if they know what you're saying.
Wow.
Come on then. You're all right, that's it. There you go. That's how long it takes. So this is our pasture raised chicken enterprise. Traditionally free range chicken. The model would be generally a building that's either fixed or portable, but it would only move between each batch of birds. A fixed building with a fixed range area, and the birds can go in and out freely, which is great. I have nothing wrong with it. It's a lovely model for the birds' welfare. But these birds don't really, a laying hen, because they live for so long, they learn how to go out and graze, and they'll go a lot further. These birds, even though we take them for 3 weeks longer than normal free range or even organic, they're still fairly young when they're killed. So they're just like learning how to range and get brave outside, if that makes sense. So we've got these little portable shelters which are completely floorless, so even when they're inside they're on pasture, and they're lightweight, and we literally just move them every single day to a fresh spot. So these birds, they started up on that hedge line in the corner, and they've come all the way down, and they're just going around here and back up again. And so every single one of the birds you can guarantee has been on grass, whereas I don't want to badmouth the free range model because I've got friends that do it and it's great, but sometimes they don't all go out. There might be some that stay inside all the time. It's quite a small, a new kind of concept. I got it inspired by a guy called Joel Salatin over in America, who does it in quite a big way. He's proved it can be scalable if you've got people willing to work. and you just build more shelters. The standard chicken that you get in a supermarket, which is just in a shed, not free range, they're slaughtered at 35 days. So from hatched to slaughter, 35 days, that's the standard. Free range is 56 days. Organic is 70 days, and then these are at least 77. So we go that week extra. The older they get, it's the same with the turkeys, the more intramuscular fat they have, the juicier they are, the better the eating experience. But they are bigger, obviously. So what we try and tell our customers is, yes, okay, this is a 3 kilo bird, which is twice the size of a standard supermarket bird, which would only be 1.5 kilos. But rather than it just feeding a family of 4 for one meal, cook it and it will feed a family of 4 for 2 or 3 days. So we've got feed charts that we follow quite strict, so that it encourages them to go and forage. We could just give them ad lib grain, but then they'd get lazy and they'd just sit in by the feeder and they'd just eat that and sit there and sleep. Whereas we want to actively motivate them to get them out ranging, scratching up for bugs, eating grass and things like that. So that's why we've got Bear, to give us the confidence to let them out and leave them out. Because a poultry net, you know, it's not guaranteed fox proof. If it's a wet day and the electric's earthing out and it's not giving off much of a kick, a fox will jump over it if it wanted to. And again, this model, we don't shut them in at night, you know, they're literally out all the time. So if you look, I've got a camera there, solar power camera. If you look on that on the recording at like 4 in the morning, as soon as the sun's peeking up, they're out, you know. Whereas like if we'd had a fixed shed, we wouldn't let them out until we got out there at 7 o'clock in the morning, you know.
This moment when the cows went rushing past, it was absolutely brilliant. I can't wait to see what else happens on the farm and see how George gets on. If you haven't already, head over to the Instagram pages, the link will be in the description, and give us both a follow. Thanks very much for watching, please hit that subscribe button and I'll see you soon.